Hi everyone, I'm Alice, and today is going to be my last video on online teaching. So as you can tell by my video, I recently quit online teaching, and I'm gonna get into a lot of the reasons for that in this video. But before I do that, I wanna say that pointing out all of the different flaws that I'm seeing in online teaching, particularly through Palfish, it's not a slight on the company or the profession at all. All I'm trying to do is basically let you know the realities of it and the personal decisions that I've made regarding this, and let you make a decision for yourself. I think there's a lot of information online about positive things, negative things, and a lot of the videos on online teaching in general are sponsored, even if they don't actually say that. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of brutal truth out there, and I do want to say that I had some really good experiences with Palfish, with online teaching in general, and I do think that I got a lot from it. So even though today I'm going to be talking a lot about the drawbacks and the reasons that I quit, I'm definitely not saying anything that somebody who does it is bad or making any type of statement like that. All I'm saying is that I've decided that online teaching is no longer something for me, and if it is for you, that's awesome. But these are just my thoughts, and in no way are they meant to harm the company of Palfish or the online teaching industry in general. So let's get right into it. So the first reason that I quit is simply the hours. So I've moved back to the United States in the past couple of months, and I tried to sustain teaching for the last, I would say, 6 or 7 months. And what I've been doing is waking up almost every day at 5 or 6 a.m. to start teaching for usually about 3 or 4 hours. And then on the weekends, I usually taught starting at night, maybe around 7 or 8 p.m., sometimes going all the way until 10, 11, or 12 p.m. I didn't have another job or anything at the time, but you can see how waking up at 5 or 6 every morning, 30 days a month is really taxing on you. And the thing is, you can only work maybe 3 or 4 hours unless you're extremely popular on the platform. You probably work 3 or 4 hours or even less at a time. So the thing is, there's no batching all of your work together on the same day. You can pull an all-nighter maybe on the weekends or something, but other than that, you're really gonna be working 3 to 4 hours in the morning, way early morning every day, which after a while, I just could not handle it. You either have to change around your whole lifestyle or just end up taking a nap every day in the middle of the day. So it definitely was a huge challenge in that regard. The next reason is that things just started to get really repetitive. So this applies not just to a lot of the trial students that I had, but even regular students too. So for the trial process, basically how it works is students can book with you, and there are, I think, 7 or 8 different levels of content that you can actually teach a trial with. But the vast majority of students are going to be absolutely no English level, or at most maybe like a first grade, a second grade English level. And so the classes that you're teaching for the trials are the same 2 or 3 classes every single time. Now, as you get more and more regular students, they're going to start booking the regular classes, which means that you're going to be teaching a lot of the different materials. However, for the most part, as you're starting out, you're going to be teaching the exact same lesson to maybe 20, 30 students in a month. So it can get really repetitive, and there were times that I taught 3 full hours, just 6 classes of the same lesson to 6 different students. And to be honest, that wasn't all that fun. It can be really tough, especially if you don't love the job, or if you sometimes can get frustrated by how difficult it is to communicate with students who know no English at all. or maybe just know the ABCs and they really don't have a very good foundation in English to be able to communicate purely using English. Even as you start to sell packages and things like that, again, a lot of the students are at the same level. They have no English abilities, or they are just starting out, maybe at a first or a second grade level. And so a lot of the classes, I would say, I probably taught the first class in all of those levels hundreds of times over the course of my teaching. Of course, every once in a while, there was an update to the curriculum, an improvement on this or that, but the general idea was always the same. And to me, it just wasn't that fun waking up at 5 a.m. to teach the same thing that I did the previous day. The other challenge that I faced teaching had to do with parents. So anytime you're dealing with kids, of course you're going to deal with parents. And parents, a lot of times, they have the best intentions, and I absolutely respect that. And I think it's wonderful that parents are so invested in their kids and care so much about getting them the best education. But there are things that you do want to keep in mind. It's difficult for me when my goals and the parents' goals in the end are the same. We both want the child to improve in their English ability, but the methods and the expectations surrounding how to get there are wildly different. I think that is a huge challenge, and some people are just better at dealing with that than others. In general, two types of parents will give you a huge headache. The first kind is the parent who thinks their child is an absolute genius. And sometimes you'll see parents of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds who think their child is just incredible, which every child is incredible in their own way, but you can't expect a child who has no English level at all to take a class with a foreign teacher speaking only in English and have the child understand everything that's happening and understand what the teacher wants. I think there are a lot of ways to get around that, and it gets easier and easier as you go on, but there are a lot of cases when it's just really frustrating for you to try to convey to the parents that you want the student to circle something on the screen or to repeat after you. And a lot of what the students end up doing is just parroting back exactly everything that you say. So there are times when I'll ask them to repeat after me, and they'll say exactly what I said right back to me. With that, it's just a challenge, and it feels like the student isn't making any progress at all, even if they actually are. There are parents who don't ask their kids to review or preview the material during class, and so if you're taking a test with them, they absolutely forgot, or they have no idea what you learned over the entire unit, and the class just ends up being a disaster. So that is not fun for anyone, in my opinion, and I think having met so many parents and students who just think that things are just magically going to get better, or that students are just gonna soak up knowledge like a sponge soaks up water without any work outside of class, to me, that's one of the most frustrating things. Now, the opposite of that is helicopter parents, where parents are gonna sit there and watch you for the entire class. Now, I have no problem if people are going to sit there and help their student out, especially if the student is a very low level in English and the parent is there to help translate, to encourage the student, to ask them to do what I'm asking them to do. I think that is absolutely wonderful, and you definitely need parents that support their child like that. However, there are parents who will sit there and they will say nothing during the class, even though they understand you perfectly, and instead they write down all the different things that you're doing wrong, even if you are giving it your best effort. So it's really discouraging for me to hear that a parent is really frustrated with me for this and that, this and this, and during class they had the opportunity to say something, or I asked them to help out and they didn't do it, and the platform punishes me because a parent complained about something that I did. So I'm not saying that Palfish handled these kinds of complaints in a poor way. It's just a really difficult situation to manage the students and the teachers and the parents while making sure that everybody is happy. So it's something that if you are not great at dealing with, or if you don't enjoy, it's just really difficult to keep up for months on end. I mentioned that in general, I do think Palfish is a good company. It's a reputable company, and every month that I taught, I got paid in full for everything that I worked for. Starting from now, I'm kind of getting into complaints specifically about the company, and I know that they do a lot to improve on this over and over, but these are things that they are still working on even after I've been teaching for them for over 18 months. I also have over 1,000 teaching hours on that platform only, so I think these are things that are absolutely crucial to making a good experience for students and teachers that is just currently missing. And one of those is improving communication between teachers and the platform. So currently how it works is you can receive direct messages from the Palfish official channel, and you'll receive those messages into your inbox and you can see them in a separate channel. However, a lot of information is put into the regular chats that have maybe 100 to up to 500 members in that chat. And every time that you get a message or something like that, it gets flooded and it gets buried under thousands of messages super quickly. And there's a lot of information that is just here and there and there and there. And there is an FAQ section, but I think having a channel where you can have all the information and you can directly message people and know that they're going to respond to you is extremely important. And in my experience, a lot of the staff members just don't respond to you for whatever reason. It's really difficult to know who you can contact when you have an emergency and who's going to respond and who's on duty. And the classes can sometimes take place at 8 a.m. in the morning or at 10 p.m. at night, and you just never know who's working, who's on, and how you can fix a problem, even though the problem is happening right now and it needs to get fixed right now. So I think in that case, it's a huge weakness where you don't have an email or something like that where you're trying to manage 1,000 different teachers at once and you only have 5 or 6 support people. So sometimes a lot of communication gets lost in the dust, or you read a message and you forget to go back to it, and then all of a sudden now you have a penalty on your account. So that to me is a really difficult thing to manage, but I think it could be managed a lot better and just have a way better experience for teachers. Especially there are times when their servers for Palfish just completely stopped. I think one time it happened like 2 or 3 times in a week when a competitor was trying to hack into Palfish servers, and what happened was that all the teachers were sitting there trying to enter their classroom and freaking out because it's not entering. There's no communication from Palfish, that the servers are down. I personally think it's my device, it's my Wi-Fi, it's my data, like nothing is connecting, and it's just freaking me out, and I can't contact anybody, and there's no official communication from Palfish, and that was just extremely stressful just to know that that was happening. Even though it did get fixed afterwards, it's really tough to be in that situation and not know what's going on, or if you're going to be penalized or something like that. The last thing that I will mention is the penalty system. So in general, I do think the penalty system is not bad. It is designed to prevent people from just flaking on their appointments and things like that. I think whenever you're dealing with so many freelancers, it's a huge risk because they can just walk away at any time, and there's nothing that the company of Palfish can do to make sure that somebody's going to be on schedule all the time. However, the penalties are quite steep. because every class that you cancel within 24 hours gets you a penalty basically equal to the amount of money that you would earn if you taught one of those classes. Each class you cancel is going to run a penalty of teaching for 30 minutes. So when I was teaching pretty rigorously, I was teaching at least 4 or 5 classes a day. So in the case that anything happened, there was an emergency, or even if I just accidentally overslept or something and there wasn't any malicious intent to skip my classes, I could basically be wiping out my entire earnings from 1 or 2 previous days because I messed up. Now, I think that there are good reasons to have a penalty system like that in place, just to make sure that people aren't canceling so often and just to maintain a good overall experience for students. But I do think that the penalties are really, really steep, and it's not really fair that students can book within up to 3 hours before their class time, but you can't cancel within 24 hours of the class time. So basically that 21-hour window where students can book you but you can't cancel is just a huge field where you can be penalized for a ton of different things. So that's a really tricky situation, and I personally just didn't enjoy having to deal with that. So again, I do think that there are a lot of benefits to Palfish, to teaching online in general. These are just some of the things that over a year and a half have bothered me a little bit, and that now that I have something else that I'm working on, are the reasons that I have decided to leave the company. So I will say that I did earn some good money. The company did treat me well, so there are no hard feelings towards it, and I hope they don't have any hard feelings towards me. I just wanted to do a very honest review about Palfish and about how it works now that I have left the company and that I'm no longer affiliated with them. So if you are interested in teaching some more, I will link some of my really, really great colleagues' videos and playlists and channels in the description below, so you can find out some more information about how to apply for them, how to improve your teaching, how to avoid some of the problems that I've talked about in the video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!